Welcome back to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I'm your host, Relitza Spasova. And today we have a very special guest, myself. Well, I had a scheduled interview with a really special guest, and they weren't feeling well. And so today, what was coming through this morning before I even got the email to reschedule was the importance to focus on intuition and to call forward and cultivate our relationship with our own intuition. And so I just wanted to bring this here to the podcast, take the opportunity to really dive into the truth of who we really are, how we came here to be, because a lot of times we bypass that part of our human experience and we go into trusting knowledge and other people's wisdom and information over intuition. And so today, in this over-driven world of AI and technology and information and everybody else's opinion, one of the most important tools that you have is your intuition. We all have it. We're all born with it. It's our innate nature to tap into it for survival. So, today on the Authenticity Calling podcast, I'm really, really excited to really stream consciousness and trust what comes through, but also share a little bit of research around intuition, because I believe that we're best fit to make decisions when we actually trust and tap into both. Now, information is really interesting, and especially these days, because anyone can publish anything online, and that becomes part of the algorithm of AI. And a lot of people are tapping into and trusting and tuning into AI. And so I also want to talk about energetic sovereignty and how we actually give our energy away by not trusting our own truth, by always externalizing the validation, externalizing the information, and really trusting external sources. That actually takes the energy, our life force energy, and gives it away to that thing. So AI can actually siphon energy from us if we allow it to. And by tapping into AI, by actually externalizing our truth to AI only, not tapping into our intuition first, and validating or double checking or cross referencing, what we're essentially doing is actually giving away our life force energy. And as we do this over and over and over again, we will start to actually feel drained and exhausted. And that's not to say that AI is right or wrong. It's not to say that the information is valid or invalid. But AI does also have a self-fulfilling style of prophecy in that it will speak to you in the language in which you speak to it. So it has a dark force of actually creating egomaniacs. So the topic of this conversation is not AI. But I did want to bring that really important point that if you are constantly relying on AI, you are literally giving your life to AI. And there's a big fear in the conscious community that just like in show business, just like in corporate companies, there's this fear or awareness that there's a possibility that humankind will actually give ourselves, give our soul to artificial intelligence. And the truth about intelligence is it's not meant to be artificial. So, when we're tapping into artificial intelligence, we're also tapping into a network that can be highly manipulated. And therefore, we can be highly manipulated if we allow ourselves to trust only in that which we see outside of ourselves. So, this is a really big reason why today we're talking about energetic sovereignty, taking back our energy, and tapping into our intuition, trusting what is within us, what God gave us, what Mother Nature has seeded into our physical body, and to really call you forward in tapping into that pure truth that's within you. Now, that's not to say to be ignorant to information. And that's not to say that you shouldn't trust people who are professionals who have been studying a certain topic for a very long time, and they have research and evidence to, again, with science, it's really interesting because most people think science proves something. But the truth about science is that science works to disprove a null hypothesis, which means if there is no relationship between the two things that we're testing, we should have no correlation. The two things should not happen more commonly than randomly and or by placebo. So most medications need to overcome the placebo effect of 30%. Unfortunately, science doesn't take into account the nocebo effect, which also takes up about 30%. So if you don't believe that something will work, it doesn't work. That is the nocebo effect. Placebo says that if we believe something works, then it will work. And so again, when it comes to energy, what we give our energy to is what we manifest. So our mind is extremely powerful in creating the thing outside of ourselves that we are actually looking for. That's just like when you think about something or when you start talking about something with somebody and you start to see it everywhere. That's because your reticular activating system in your brain has now been primed to look for that thing outside in the world. So the funny thing is we actually do create our reality because we consciously perceive only part of what is around us. There is no way that our human brain can actually receive and interpret and consciously be aware of every single thing that is in front of us. And so what our brain actually is able to take in and interpret is what we are consciously making ourselves aware of, consciously. However, there's the unconscious part of us that is a information gathering machine, sorting machine, and really truly feeling into what is truth. And so when we talk about intuition, we're tapping into, yes, our mind and our logic, but that's only about 5% of it. The other 95% lives within our body. And it requires us to have our energetic sovereignty in order to be able to feed back into us what it has gathered from the world around us. So if we're not used to tapping into that 95% of our intuition, of our unconscious, and the unconscious functions not just in the mind, we talk about the unconscious mind, but the unconscious mind is actually connected to everything, all the energetic systems and patterns within us. So that includes our physical body. Our physical body holds so much wisdom, so much knowledge, so much information from the world that it gathers since before our birth, since actually the two half cells that came together to create us, the sperm and the egg, when they came together, they started to pulse at a completely different frequency that takes into account both of those strands of DNA. When they come together, they make a unique and sovereign being, which is us. And each and every single one of our cells has those 46 chromosomes. And some of us are born with more and some of us are born with less, and that's okay. We're not going to go into that, but that's a whole other discussion about chromosome numbers and our human capacity. And we'll dive into that in another podcast. However, for the point of our conversation and our intuition, we have been uniquely created taking on DNA from our maternal lineage, and we get a little bit of extra DNA from our mothers in the mitochondrial DNA. That's your powerhouse. The mitochondria lives inside the egg, and the sperm actually sheds its mitochondria as it enters the egg. So there's a strand of DNA within our mitochondria that we inherit only from our mothers. And so that energetic strand actually does speak a lot to and feed into our intuition. And so a lot of that is down the matriarch. And that's why it's so important to actually have a matriarch, to actually trust the maternal wisdom in our circles, in our communities, in our homes, and to, as the mother, as the matriarch, as the person who carries the energetic blueprint of humanity, we are being asked even more strongly than our male counterparts to tap into our intuition and our energetic sovereignty, to bring back the wisdom of our ancients, to actually feel into the truth of who we are as a humanity and how we are meant to show up in this time. And right now, we are in a very pivotal moment of our human sovereignty, and we must take back our energy before it is completely siphoned from us and taken away. So, this is all just streaming consciousness. I haven't written down any notes about what we're going to talk about. I did a few searches before we started, and I haven't even taken a look at that because what is coming through right now is so, so freaking important for all of us to hear. And myself included, a lot of times when I'm streaming consciousness, I tap into the truth of what we're meant to hear and what we're meant to contemplate on and what we're meant to actually ground into, because that is the way that my gifts work. Is I am energetically aligned and attuned to the truth, and the truth translated in a way that you will hear it and it will make sense to you. The translator in me, the human capacity to connect and to bridge the spiritual and the medicine, that's what the mystic and the medicine is all about. I've been called to really ground Up to Health. Up to Health is a company that calls us back into ourselves so that we're not constantly relying on somebody else to tell us what the truth is, somebody else to give us medication to make our body better. Our body has such an intuitive, deep wisdom to heal and to transform and to be whole if we give it what it needs. And so I almost feel like I'm about to start rapping. It's really, really important to tap into our intuition, our energetic sovereignty. Coming back to the strands of DNA, because ancestry is really important. And a lot of times when we go down the pathway of doing personal development work, which I'm also a coach, I'm a life coach. I don't love the word coach because it's been so misused and manipulated in our society. A lot of people call themselves coaches and they're really, truly not. They're just, again, energetic siphoning machines. A lot of people do take money in exchange for what they call coaching, which is fine. Sometimes it's important to have somebody who will reflect our mindset back to us and help us to change our mindset, people who will reflect our belief systems and call us to question them. The most important thing about finding somebody who is in alignment for you, whether it's a coach, a counselor, a therapist, anyone who's doing that psychological work, it always has to do with our spiritual practice and our spiritual self. And so we don't usually talk about it. We talk about psychology and psychiatry and the mind and medications and how they affect the chemicals in our brain. But the energetic blueprint within us is actually so much more powerful to activate DNA, which can produce these hormones and these chemicals on its own. And so my call to people is to really tap into your own truth, to allow yourself to feel everything that you've been rejecting, everything that you've been pushing away, everything that you've been avoiding. And instead of outsourcing your truth and going to somebody who will probably reflect to you and project onto you their own limitations and insecurities. And that's the problem that I have with the coaching world, is that most people don't do their own inner work. They take what's going on around them, they attract people who are mirrors for them, and again, just like AI, they reflect what the other person wants to or can hear and receive, or sometimes what they don't want to, and intentionally trigger them. And then they get stuck in a loop. And so it's really, really important as people who are service providers to remember to always give back the person their power and to really help them to tap into their intuition. And here's how it comes back to the conversation we're having today. Before you externalize your truth and your value and your system as a sovereign being into somebody else, whether it's your doctor, whether it's your counselor, therapist, even elders and wisdom keepers, they will remind you, they'll tell you stories, they will guide you into a way that you can no longer deny your truth, but your truth lives within you. And when we hear stories of the past, when we get passed down wisdom and knowledge, it actually opens up parts of our DNA that have been dormant. And it allows that knowledge, wisdom, and chemistry to actually come through and ground into the physical. So, this is where we start talking about multidimensionality. We are physical beings. We are 3D beings. We live by sight, we live by sound, we live by, the five senses that we were told that we have, taste and touch and so on. But we are actually so much more than just X, Y, Z plane three-dimensional creatures. We are multidimensional in that we have access to our physical body, which feels so much more than just these scientific planes that we've been studying as a humanity. Our energetic body can feel nature. Our energetic body can feel when something is out of alignment, when something is out of truth. Now, the only way that we have access to feel into our body is if we do the energetic work of clearing out our external validation. So, if our entire lives we have been turning to the outside for truth, then we will be grounded in that truth. And that serves as actually a distraction mechanism to our intuition. If we're not tapped into our intuition, and what that means is if you don't have a really beautiful relationship with your intuition, when your intuition speaks, it can speak in many different ways. It can come through as a vision. You might see things before they happen. It can come through as sort of like a conversation with yourself. It can come through as something that you hear. So you might hear, be careful, or you might hear something that, and our intuition speaks very simply. It doesn't create these complex sort of systems. We then consciously take our intuition and create complex systems. So if you're getting a message that is extremely complex and it's multifaceted, that's actually your conscious mind making up what your intuition has received. So I just want you to be very aware. Where is it that it's your intuition, and where are you then taking conscious responsibility? And this is where people get lost in that trap of overthinking, over-analyzing, overdoing, right? So our the part of us that is logical and that uses reason and that really taps into that part of knowledge, that is a beautiful part. That is the human doing part of us. That is the part of us which, when we talk about the feminine and masculine energies, again, we're not talking about gender or sexual orientation. We are talking about energetic forms, blueprints within our system. And so when we talk about the masculine is very logical, it's very reasoned, it's very calculated, it's very scheduled, it's very oriented to organization, right? It is really important to have a very strong connection to that side of us. And most of us do, because we live in a very information inundated, very doing, achieving, accomplishing kind of world. And where it becomes dangerous is when we actually move into the doing constantly, that it becomes a toxic doing. We are giving away our energy, and that when our body's exhausted, we actually don't rest. We bypass the exhaustion of our body's wisdom, and we keep doing and doing and doing and doing. That's where we're stuck as a society, and we are completely outside of ourselves. And so when we talk about energetic sovereignty and alignment and bringing ourselves back into ourselves, it requires us to trust our body's wisdom. When our body tells us to slow down, it is in our best interest to listen and to actually slow down. Take a deep breath. Feel your shoulders drop. Your first deep breath will probably be felt in your upper body, in your shoulders, in your guarding, in your fear, in your stress, in your fight and flight mode. And so we're calling our energy, we're calling our nervous system back into presence. We're calling our energy back into ourselves. And you can say affirmations like, I call my energy back to me. I sever any connections, any external validation. I take back the energy which I have given out consciously and unconsciously, and I call it back to me now. And I reclaim my sovereignty. my trust in my truth and my intuition. And I cultivate that deep trust within. I am a sovereign being. I trust myself. I love myself. I am here as a sovereign being to tap into my intuition and my wisdom and my knowledge that lives within me. I call forth the truth to come through me so that I can trust, so that I can cultivate a relationship with myself, that I see nothing but the truth. I call forth people and community that resonate at that frequency of truth. I reject, deny, and turn away anything that is not the truth, the whole truth. Now breathe deep into your belly and allow that to land. Allow yourself when you breathe, not just to breathe with your shoulders, but to breathe deep, deep, deep inside yourself. Allow that breath to come in, to fill your chambers, all of them. Deep, deep, deep into your belly, grounding down all the way into your root. And if you can feel this energy moving, you can feel it grounding as if it's trees, the root of the tree, the trunk of the tree growing deep within you and down into the ground, into the earth, through your legs, spreading that energy down into Mother Earth and extending and grounding us, really truly grounding us on earth. We are here as human beings to take the metaphysical, all of our consciousness, our intuition, our multidimensional beings, our way of tapping into the truth. And instead of just living in this airy fairy world, we're being asked to really truly ground into Mother Nature, ground into our human experience, ground into our physical body, and trust what comes through. Give appreciation and gratitude back to Mother Nature. Let's stop just taking. A lot of times we ground and we release our negative energy into Mother Earth. She is asking us to actually feel that shit instead of giving it all to her. And really truly ground appreciation and gratitude and love, that unconditional love that we came here to be. So many of us have forgotten that it lives within us. We do not need to seek it outside of ourselves. And in fact, we will be guided to that which is not unconditional in order to come back to the unconditional love within ourselves. So today, if you're seeking any sort of validation, come back to yourself to find the truth. Ground into Mother Nature, Mama Gaia. She will always guide you back to the truth. The resonance and frequency on our planet, nature, functions on a rhythm of truth. Tap into that truth. Allow yourself to receive the truth of who you really truly are, why and how you came here to be. And for many more moments of our human doing, it is time to be our human being. Gravitate to those who speak the truth, who live in their truth, who are guided by their intuition, who really, truly value and appreciate unconditional love and support for humanity. This is how we came here, and we have been guided and misled so far away from our own truth and intuition. Today is a day that we reclaim this sovereignty. We bring back our energy to us, and we fully claim our human capacity. We are tapping in today to parts of our DNA that want to be awoken, that wants to come alive, to guide us, to speak through us, to connect us. We are not meant to do this thing alone. We are meant to be in community, connected so deeply to the hearts of people who trust, who speak the truth, who resonate in this frequency. And it's so important to first come back to ourselves so that we can resonate this truth, so that we can reflect it back to others, so that we come back to ourselves and our energetic sovereignty, the blueprint that is here to guide us on the path of our passion and our purpose and our fullest potential. Not tapping into external sources for truth or validation, but really truly trusting what comes through us. As sovereign beings, today I invite you to be in your truth. Ground into nature, go and touch grass, lay down, cry, sob, allow yourself to feel. There is so much pain and suffering on our planet today. Bypassing all of that and pretending it doesn't exist so that we can stay in our little safe bubbles, which are actually the farthest thing from safe. When energy comes through, the earth is asking us to feel so that that energy can be released and we can recreate and cultivate balance so that humans around the world, our hearts can wake up. They can start beating into a pulse of truth. And now I invite you to breathe into your heart and allow this beautiful energetic device that we have within us. Every single one of us has a heart. And our heart beats with an energetic pulse that goes well outside of our body, and we are able to actually cultivate love, unconditional love, and trust, and truth, and sovereignty. We no longer have to give in to the fear mongering that's going on outside of us to externalize and validate. We are being called to tap into our body's truth, our heart's natural rhythm of love, of unconditional love, of generosity, of overflowing. And when we tap into that truth and when we breathe into it and we allow ourselves to make decisions from this heart space, which is so interconnected, we elevate the frequency on our planet. We become sources of truth. Breathing into that heart space, allowing the truth to come through you. Allowing everything within you that is not functioning on this level of truth to be released, to be forgiven, to be forgotten, to be let go, to be released back into the light from which it came, trying to interpret and to make sense of our world. Our world makes sense because we are alive. When we tap into our livelihood, our truth, our heart space, our intuition, our guidance and our wisdom, it lives within our heart, it lives within our gut. It lives within the energy that we receive as visions, as sounds, as patterns, as blueprints. We feel our bodies expand when we're in that level of truth. We feel a resonance and a vibration within us that starts and it cultivates and it radiates and it resonates outwards. And it attracts nothing but the truth. So for today, I call you forward into that truth to cultivate, to tap in, to really become one with yourself, to allow yourself to open up into that unconditional space, into the universe, into the metaverse, into the multiverse that brings only the truth from everything that ever came before us and everything that will come after us. We have access to this timeless truth. Tap into it and call forward the truth for the greatest good of all concerned. We are being called here to cultivate an essence of purity, not through judgment, but through trust, through intuition, through this energetic sovereignty, this blueprint of who we came here to be. And when we honor ourselves, we weave the blanket of our humanity. We allow others to be themselves fully when we allow ourselves to speak and walk and talk and be in our truth 100%. So when you're ready, breathe into that truth. Allow yourself to ground. Allow this energy and frequency to radiate through you and outside of you, to create, to magnetize, and to call forward everything that is here for you. We are here as energetic beings. We have so much power and wisdom and knowledge within ourselves. I call you forward today to tap into that truth. Walk in that truth. Speak in that truth. Allow yourself to dispel any dissonance, any resonance that is not in your truth. And when we talk about our truth versus the collective truth, there is no differentiation once we start to function on this level of our sovereignty. And when we come into community, we can question any of the dissonance, any of the frequency that lives between the truth. We can actually start to call into question, what is that thing? What's that all about? What are we actually meant to learn from this? What are we meant to gain? How are we meant to transform and transmute it? More than anything, I am a life alchemist. We are all life alchemists. We are all master manifestors. We will manifest that with which we focus our energy. That with which we focus our energy. Notice how that came through. It's not just about energy coming in. It's about what we choose, how we choose to move that energy, the vehicle with which we choose to move that energy. Is it going to be in our sovereign blueprint, in our nature, in our way of being, that we function and we give back and we pour into the world through our gifts, through activating our truth, through really truly being exactly who we are, questioning everything that's not. And questioning comes with curiosity. It comes with an openness. It comes with a playfulness to actually be able to ground into the truth. And when we surround ourselves with people who are doing the same, we get to be ourselves in community. And that is everything. That is up to health. Up to health is such a beautiful space of bridging the truth back into ourselves and then reflecting that truth with others in community so that we can vibe in at a level, at a frequency that is life. And it is life-giving to ourselves first and foremost. If you're somebody like me who is used to externalizing your power and your capacity to serve others and to help others, there's nothing wrong with that. It is such a beautiful way of showing up in the world. And I want to remind you that if you're not whole, you're only giving away parts of yourself. So you're really doing people a disservice by not first grounding into yourself, by not prioritizing yourself. So, as the martyr, as somebody who has always given herself away basically my whole life, and I have to come back to this every single day to remind myself, I am the most important person in my life. My son is a close second to that because if I don't give myself what I need to be whole, I can't give him, I can't pour into him, I can't overflow into him. into you, into the people, the places, the spaces that I am called to serve. So today, I remind you that you are the most important person in your life. If you can take one thing away, it is to come back home to yourself. It is to come back and ground into Mother Nature, to really, truly create and cultivate the truth within you, to overflow into everything that you're being called into. And when we do that, we create an energetic blueprint of humanity that cannot be manipulated, it cannot be destroyed, it cannot be taken advantage of, it can't be taken energy from. It's a choice. We choose to give away our energy, and we choose it all the time. And today I'm asking you to make the choice to actually bring back your energy to yourself, to bring back your truth, to really cultivate within yourself an energetic sovereignty that then overflows into others. When we do this, we actually slow down time. So today, I invite you to tap into your intuition, to trust your truth, and allow yourself to stumble along the way. Sometimes when we're cultivating a relationship with our truth, we have to question everything that we've been doing so far. We have to repattern. We have to take the habits that we have been living by, getting up and scrolling on the phone instead of getting up and tapping into ourselves, turning to the person next to us, looking into their eyes, being grateful, showing that appreciation, having that deep connection, really truly cultivating unconditional love. We do that in partnership. And first, we do that with ourselves. So today, I invite you to look in the mirror, look into your eyes, look deep into your soul, and remind yourself who you are. Ask yourself, what feels juicy to me? What does my body want? What is my intuition showing me? How can I feed myself today to nurture my body and this beautiful energy that I have cultivated within? What does my body really want? And feel into that. And if you don't have it in your home, I invite you to fast. Drink water with lemon, a little bit of sea salt, and really ground, right? The nature within our body, our internal, our physical, our plasma, our body's water system requires us to have a little bit of that salt in our system. But it's not just salts. There's electrolytes. There's all the different things. There's nutrition. We'll get into nutrition in another podcast, and nurturing our bodies in ways. But trust your intuition. Your intuition will show you. Try different things out. A lot of people are drinking alkaline water now. Test it out and see how it makes your body feel. And notice when you're drinking it. We're not meant to alkalinize our gut. Our stomach is meant to be acidic to break down the food inside. And so if you're going to drink alkaline water, I suggest to do it outside of your feeding period so that it doesn't alkalinize the acid in your stomach, because then you'll end up with food that is actually not broken down properly, and you'll end up with gut issues and bloating and constipation and diarrhea and all these different things. And so we don't want to process our food partially. We want to fully process our food. So that is not medical advice. That is just the wisdom that comes through. Take it or leave it. Do your own research. Definitely trust yourself. So today on the Authenticity Calling podcast, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today, with us today around the world that are grounding into truth. And make sure to go back to that meditation that came through when you have space for stillness, not ever when you're driving. Not when there's a lot of chaos going on around you. And absolutely, if it's safe to sit still and close your eyes, you can do this anywhere. You can do this on the bus. You can do this in a board meeting. You can do this in the middle of your chaotic family dinner. You can ground into yourself anywhere that you are. And you don't have to close your eyes. I close my eyes because it allows my connection to cut off from what I see and just really tap into myself and into the truth that comes through. but you can keep your eyes open and still cultivate this deep relationship within yourself. We do it all the time, right? When we connect with people and we just speak our truth, when we stop overthinking and we just allow our truth to come out, that is authenticity. And this is the Authenticity Calling podcast. So just for today, I ask you, for today and every day moving forward, to really, really be who you honestly, genuinely, truly are. And again, it's okay to stumble and fumble along the way of finding yourself again. I'm creating the Authenticity Calling course brought to you by Up to Health. And that course is all about guiding you back to yourself. We talk about time, energy, how we truly value our value system, our core value system, not the values that were passed down through our society and our parents and all these different systems, but truly cultivating and tapping into the truth and the wisdom within you to know what are your values, what can you not live without, what actually allows you to be yourself fully. Authenticity, integrity, wholeness, communication, community, those are all values. Without living our lives within those value systems, we again become not ourselves. We step outside of the truth of who we are, and we're functioning on someone else's blueprint, not our own. So tapping back into ourselves requires us to actually tune in and ground into the truth of who we are. And so Authenticity Calling will help you to do that by asking questions that lead you back to your sovereignty, by having activities and activations that actually allow you to feel within yourself, into Mother Nature, into your surroundings, that allows you to actually create that alignment and say no to everything that is no longer in alignment, and give gratitude and appreciation and really overflow into yourself and into others that you are exactly where you're meant to be, how you're meant to be, and appreciating everything around you that has created the person that is you today. Because there is no such thing as blame, shame, guilt. All of those things are giving our energy away into systems that do not need our energy. They want our energy, but we need our energy. We need to call it back to ourselves. So guilting, blaming, shaming, talking negatively about ourselves or other people, it does not help us to cultivate the truth and to walk in our authenticity. So we learn how to let go of all of those things. We'll learn natural patterns of forgiveness, cultivating unconditional love for that which has happened in the past, or the people who have hurt us in the past, or we have been hurt by. Taking back our energy rather than saying, you triggered me, I was triggered. It's a very different energy. When we say you did something, we're giving that energy away. Rather, I was triggered by the thing that you did. That's bringing our energy back. It might seem subtle, but it is profound. And you will feel it in your system as you take the course and as you deepen into the truth of who you are and you start to live that truth. You will notice everything shifting, all of the things coming back to you, the constant synchronicities. Because when you wake up and you have a vision, that vision is asking for your aligned action. But if you're so distracted with your phone and your kids and your partner and your work and your this and your that, you're giving yourself away all over the place. How could you possibly cultivate and create from a place of intuition and your vision and your passion and your purpose and your potential? That is P3 alchemy. If you're constantly giving yourself away and you're constantly distracted. So Authenticity Calling is all about that. It is all about calling you back to yourself, to the truth of who you really came here to be. And it is so juicy and it is so exciting and it is so expansive, because as you activate yourself, you will activate everyone around you. You become this magnet of truth and you become so powerful, unstoppable. Anything that you can envision, anything that you see outside of yourself that you judge, that you may be jealous of or envious of, I invite you to take that back and see how life is showing you that you are meant to actually cultivate that life for yourself. It is so beautiful when we tap into ourselves and into our truth and actually commit to walking in that truth. And that is authenticity calling. And that is how I will leave you today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being your truth. Thank you for walking in your sovereignty. Thank you for cultivating and creating your human being first and foremost with that human connection. Come into a room, introduce yourself from where you came. Give appreciation and gratitude to the people, the places, the spaces around you, to the earth, to all of those who came from this earth to cultivate and maintain and sustain energetically the land and the territory that you live in and on. And know that history came before anything that we actually consciously know. So let's stop judging. Let's start being. Be that unconditional love. Give that appreciation and gratitude. Love, overflow. And then do. From this place of intuition, you will also learn how to take aligned action, but not just aligned action, inspired, surrendered, aligned action. You'll learn all of that in Authenticity Calling. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for trusting yourself first and foremost, and for tapping into the beautiful intuition that lives within you. Intimacy is cultivated through first knowing ourselves. And as we know ourselves intimately, we can then intimately know others. I thank you so much from the depths of my heart, soul, and being for being exactly as you are, so that we can co-create a life of truth, of energetic sovereignty, of juiciness, of beauty. Thank you for being you. I love you.